Well, it's always good to come off a win, especially when you know it's great to make corrections after a win, and we had a lot to make last week, and hopefully we'll play better this week. But excited for this week. All of us recognize the challenge at hand. Um, I don't normally. Well, she always does. Clessy, our director of football operations, always gives me a sheet for the opponent, and gives you tidbits and stats. I don't need this sheet this week. Um, I've literally played them. I was counting, so I played them all five years when I was at Hawaii. So 5 years in the 35 years that I've coached. I think I've gone against them every year, except once against UCLA, because at the University of Hawaii, at UNLV, and also at the Naval Academy. So 39 years playing against these guys. Know exactly who they are, uh, which can be good and can be bad. The good is you know who they are, so you respect them, and the bad is you know how good they are. So it's gonna be a tough challenge for us. Got a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Calhoun. In my mind, one of the best coaches in the country. Not a lot of people talk about him, but he's got a ton of wins at Air Force, which is it's hard to win anywhere, but he's won there for so long. Um, so I know what kind of coach he is. I know the type of kids they have. They're gonna be hard nosed, well coached. Their staff's been together for a long time. Um, Coach Nora on defense, played there and has been coaching for a long time. Tremendous job on defense. Mike Thiessen on offensive coordinator, is as good as they get. And so he's super experienced and he knows exactly what he's trying to accomplish. But again, they have a lot of guys on their staff that have been there a long time. Jake, the running back coach, has been there. Means, has coached outside linebackers and played there. Lobo, their O-line coach. And so they have a ton of guys that have been there a long time. It's going to be a tough challenge for us, but we're excited about the challenge and looking forward to going up there.
Questions for Coach?
Coach, offensively, I think we know what Air Force does. Defensively, what's kind of your identity of what they do and what Craig's going to be doing against that defense?
Well, just look at their stats year in and year out. They're one of their offense has been so good over the years, but just look at their stats over the years. They're always in the top 20 in scoring defense, total defense. They're always in the top in categories, and so you don't win that many games unless you're really good on both sides of the ball. They're sound. They know what they're doing. They're not going to beat themselves. They're definitely not going to beat themselves. They don't bust coverages. They're gap sound on the run game. They're a tough team to play against because they don't give you crap. There's some people you try to get stuff, and we're going to have to earn it. And we recognize that on offense. Coach Stutz has played against Air Force many years, when he's at Hawaii. So he knows who they are. But, but again, we know how tough it's going to be. But they've been perennially one of the best, defenses in the country for a long time.
And then you touched on your experience playing against Air Force. How much has that helped out, preparing for this offense? And you also ran a similar offense at Navy, the triple offense. Are you helping out a little more on the defensive side this week? What's that look like?
Well, Coach Odoms to me, is one of the best coordinators in the country. He's played them many years. He's got guys on his staff that have played them many years. Coach Coach Al played them at Utah State. When he was Al was at Nevada. Boje is at San Diego State. So they got familiarity with them. Josh, when he was here, seen them. And Coach Burns played against option football and played against them. So our staff has a lot of familiarity with them. If there's any tidbits, I try to provide, but they know what they're doing. They're really good. They're really good at what they do. People make the mistakes. Well, it's not a mistake to say we got to stop the fullback. But that's to the naked eye. They got so many different ways to run the fullback and so many nuances in how they're trying to do things and try to get the fullback established. It's easier said than done. Yes, you got to be physical. You got to be gap sound. But they do have all these different wrinkles, the track of the fullback, or adding three-man surfaces and inserting slot backs and changing the formation to try to create bubbles. You know what I mean? It's just nobody does it better than Mike. Mike Thiessen, offensive coordinator. I mean, everybody's tried to stop the fullback against them, and very few have stopped them because they're so good at what they do. And so, if there's some advice, I'll try to provide. But our coaching staff also is very familiar with them. Being in this conference, it's not a surprise to anybody on our staff.
And then you have a lot of experience, coaching at a service academy. What have the differences been, with Navy here in the off seasons compared to here at San Jose State?
Well, actually, there's, from a football standpoint, it's very similar. Football's football. You come, you work, you grind. You got to be here to lift and run, watch film. So none of that changes. Our kids in the afternoon are gone. At the service academy in the morning was class time. We didn't see them in the morning. They came in the afternoon in practices. And so that way is the same. Some of the stuff that they do in the summer obviously is unique. The training that they do in the summer is unique to anybody. With service academy, people do in the summer. When you have a break here, maybe you go home and see your family. I mean, these guys are out doing basic training stuff. At the service academy, at Air Force, they're out in, doing wilderness survival stuff, which is tough. At the other service academies, doing similar stuff, or whether you're on a ship or something, or on a boat doing something. So the training is a little bit different in the off season. But when you're lifting and running, when you're here and watching film and practicing, all of that's the same.
And then how's the recruiting difference? Obviously, a lot of differences there.
The recruiting is different at the service academy just because there's a larger pool. I mean, the number of guys that you take is a lot bigger than at a normal school because there's not the 85. Because everybody that goes to a service academy is on scholarship. So you don't have the limit with scholarship numbers, so your rosters are bigger. Not everybody, and I want to be careful how I say this, because if you don't serve our country, it doesn't make you a bad person. I mean, I never served. I have family members who served, and those who have served, I'm so grateful for them. But not everybody wants to do that. And so I have a ton of respect for those kids that go there and do that, recognizing after they're done, they're going to be in harm's way to protect us. So maybe a kid that might be a little bit, recognizing that he'll have to serve our country might be the difference. But again, just because you do not serve in the military doesn't make you a bad person. But I think maybe the difference is it's a small percentage that go there, recognizing that they have to protect our freedoms when they're done playing.
Hi, Coach. For the first time, I believe now you're playing Air Force as a conference opponent. Do you like having this conference game so early into the season as a test for you guys?
That's a good question. I think anytime you get them is hard. I think if there's any time to play them that might be good, maybe the first game, because you would have all spring ball, all camp to try to get ready for them. The second game is kind of a tough one because Sac State's offense was really good, and you couldn't overlook them, because we saw how good they were last week. There was a reason they went into the playoffs last year. They're a good team. And so maybe game 2 is still kind of tough. Some guys say it's better to play them later. I don't know if that's the case, because now they're humming in all cylinders. Maybe if they get some nicks there, maybe they don't have the same team. Last year, the beginning Air Force and the end Air Force were totally different teams because of injuries. That's a tough question. It just depends how good they are and depends how good we are. So I don't know.
Malachi Miller has been seen on the sideline with his brace or whatnot. Can you give any updates potentially on when he would return?
Right now it looks like a while. He just had surgery, so we'll see. Feel bad for the kid. He's an awesome kid. He was working hard to come back from another injury, and then he came back in a day and he got injured again. And so, tough break for that kid. Praying for that kid because, like I said, he's an awesome kid. Hopefully, maybe later in the season, but we'll see.
In dealing with the tough run game with Air Force, how key are players like Jordan Cobbs, Jordan Pollard, and Solana going to be in helping stop that?
It's going to take everybody, to stop. Like I said, every time when I was at a service academy, you hear we got to stop the fullback. And to do those kind of things, it's going to take all 11. And all 11 have to do their job, and you can't get tired of doing it. Sometimes when you see the fullback break, you might see, but it might just be one person. Maybe he went in the wrong gap, or he got cut off, or he didn't have his eyes in the right place. And so it's those guys definitely got to play well for us to win. But everybody else, you mentioned 3 guys, the 8 other guys that got it on the field got to play phenomenal for us to stop these guys.
For sure, and then we saw Maris was a scratch right before the game last week. How's he looking for his upcoming game?
Well, yeah, that's a tough thing to hear right before the game. In warm-ups, your best player on O-line is like, he's not up, and you're like, what? He's not up? Well, what do you mean he's not available? But obviously, player safety is always paramount, and fortunately, we were able to come away with the win. We had 2 guys running with the ones that had to run pretty much with the ones all camp and up front. So, to have Maris back is going to be huge for us on offense.
Just to clarify, you are confirming then Maris will be back?
Yeah, he's been practicing. He's been practicing in full goal, So, right now, but, what happened last week was kind of caught us off guard. So, hopefully he'll be okay, but he's been practicing.
Air Force's defense last week, they caused 4 fumbles. San Jose State last week, 4 fumbles. How do you take the offensive game plan to, limit those turnovers coming into this week?
That's always our mantra. That doesn't change from week to week. It's always been a pillar of mine just to keep the tip up, take care of the football, recognizing how valuable the ball is. And it's not very complicated. The game is about the ball. It's a very simple Pop Warner Little League deal, like the game is about the ball. But, on offense, you got 10 guys protecting the guy with the ball. And on defense, you got 11 guys trying to knock whoever has that ball trying to knock his head off. That's the nature of this game. And so, for us to have a chance, we got to take care of the ball. If we don't take care of the ball, we're not going to win. It's that simple.
Is Hudson Messer going to be the starting center this week?
He's running the ones right now. So at this point, he's running the ones, and, we're still early in the week. But right now, he's continued on. From when he came in to the game, he did some good things. So, we just continued on with that, and right now he's still getting reps with the ones.
Couple more for Coach.
Defensively, what you guys did against Sacramento State, there was obviously adjustments and definitely very aggressive play calling that Hornets were able to take advantage here and there. Is it safe statement to say maybe against Air Force it's probably more conservative in the sense that obviously discipline you mentioned, sound assignments and things like that? Is that approach probably a fair assessment to say how you go into the season?
Yeah, and I think obviously too, the defense got put in some bad spots early too with the turnovers. So there's some short field positions. And the center QB exchanges was stuff that we were working on tremendously with Tyler to get that honed in because, we had a couple of turnovers there, a couple of, snafus early on that had nothing to do with Sac State. We just couldn't get our snap back. And then they get the ball on, I don't even know where we're at, but it's inside the 20. So, it makes it tough there. And so, yeah, some of it, we definitely could be better on defense, but some of it too is they put in some bad field position.
And what do you expect to see out of the running backs this week? Boychuk and Jabari Bates.
They gotta get yardage. They gotta be, for us to play who we are. We gotta be able to run the ball. Everybody is saying we gotta stop the run. We gotta stop the run. We have to be able to run the ball to beat these guys, because we gotta be able to possess the ball. It can't be 3 and out for us either. And so us being able to run the ball is going to be critical to us to have some success and playing some complementary football. It's not like we're a Service Academy offense trying to, limit people possession. We're still going to attack, but we still got to be able to be physical at the point of attack. We have to get yak yards too. The big part of Air Force is stuff. Their fullback is always falling forward, and we got to be able to limit that. And then on the other side of it, we have to have some yak yards. We got to turn a 4-yard gain into a 6-yard gain, or even bigger than that, when we do run the ball. So they're going to have to run well and be successful for us to be successful.
Coach, you were talking, again, you build family, whatnot. It's going to be the family's first road trip then. How are you guys coming into this now, traveling, the plans or whatnot? How's the momentum or the feeling, I guess, on the team's first road trip of the year?
Yeah, right now we're focused on the preparation. That's all we're trying to do, just focus on the preparation. I haven't really talked much about the travel and some of that stuff. But one of the things that I've told them, yes, building our culture has been one about family, but there's been a pillar or two of discipline that I've tried to instill here, just accountability and wearing your helmet certain times. And when you come on the field, we're running, having the tip up, just some little things to try to separate us. And to me, that part of that culture is going to come to play in these types of games. You know what I mean? Doing things that maybe not other people do. But like, why are those guys running on the field? Or why are they doing that? It's for championship moments like this. And we feel like to get where we got to go, you got to go through Air Force. They're one of the teams you got to go through. And obviously we're going on the road. It's going to be a huge challenge for us. But we haven't talked about that much yet. Right now we're just focused on our assignments, playing ball. I'm sure eventually we'll start talking about the road. When you go on the road, it's always fun because everything is zeroed in football. Everything's focused in on football, no distractions. So I'm excited to see how we operate and how we perform, on the road. So that would be exciting to see.
And going back to the running game, last press conference you mentioned Lamar Radcliffe as someone you were just like, I can't believe you didn't even get him involved yet. What has he shown you in practice that you've really liked, and what can we expect to see him getting more involved in the offense later on this season?
The dude's hard to tackle. Hard to tackle. When we were live and went against the defense, he pushed the pile. He's elusive too. He can run. And so he's got everything. He's a young player. He's learning offense and stuff, but he's coming along. But as far as that's what we're looking for. A big, back to 225 that can protect, can run, can catch. He has all the tools.